Welcome to the 7997 podcast. We're your hosts, Chris and Jackie.
Hey, everybody.
And as always, every day, every week, we're just trying to get closer to you guys and closer to each other. Specifically today, we want to get close to those of you who are a little bit scared after watching that debate.
Yikes.
Trump and Biden.
Yikes.
There's a lot of people out there, I'm sure, who looked at that and are like, man, we are screwed.
It's going to be challenging.
There's no good choice.
Uphill.
I think the way they're framing it is the old man versus the con man.
Yes.
Which feels very accurate.
Correct.
We didn't even, let's be honest, we didn't watch the whole debate.
We did not watch the whole debate.
If we were able to.
We watched it 30 seconds because I wanted to watch it. I was bugging him.
Yeah.
Babe, turn on the debate. He's like, why? And I'm like, I mean, obviously we don't live there, but it's still our home country, so let's look at it. Mm-hmm. So after he allowed me to watch the debate, guys, I think we were on it for all of 30 seconds. Like,
as soon as Biden started talking and his voice was like giving out, he sounded raspy.
We looked at each other.
We were like, this is not going to be good.
Yikes. Yeah. And I couldn't watch an hour and a half of that.
No.
So we turned.
We turned it off. But we did catch some highlights after the fact of everybody.
We tuned back in for the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, the last 5 minutes, and then watched the post debate show with all the pundits and stuff talking about it.
And it didn't get better.
And Democrats are like almost in tears. like
I think Van Jones was crying.
Van Jones probably was crying.
He was crying.
It was very interesting to see the reaction that night. And then their reaction the next day when they kind of realized we don't have no other options.
My God.
Oh, we love Joe. We're going to double down on Joe. And that was just one bad night. And it was like, that was a signal of a whole lot of things that maybe
it was a lot.
So I would say I sympathize and empathize in a very special way with those of you who are looking at this situation and saying, hey, maybe I need to get out the country. Mm-hmm. Maybe I need to leave the U.S. and go someplace else. Maybe across the border to Mexico. Maybe you want to go to Dubai. Maybe you want to go to Germany. I don't know. Wherever y'all feel like y'all need to go to escape whatever madness may be happening or coming soon. Mm-hmm. Because we felt the same way even before this, like literally years ago during, Trump's presidency in itself. Mm-hmm. You feel like I need to get out of this place because it's not going the direction I think it is.
Right.
So we're here to talk about today sort of what are the differences between the political situation at home versus political situation where we are here in Mexico.
Mm-hmm. May I say something though? I want to interrupt you kindly, please, and thank you. You cannot outrun discord.
No. Mm-mm.
Right? So there is no land of perfection. Mm-hmm. You can't do it.
Yeah.
Right? So what you have to do is really take time to really educate yourself. Mm-hmm. For me, pray, you know what I mean? Get some divine intervention and answers and prayer. You also want to use wisdom. Where are those spaces and places that are, for the most part, doing their best to be their best.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because there is no necessarily perfect system. There's no perfect country. Maybe Sweden, maybe Norway. No, I'm joking. I don't know. But
it's a little cold for me, so.
But you can't outrun evil.
Yeah.
You can't outrun people's hunger and thirst for power and money. And so you just have to really make a wise, educated decision so that when you move, you take your family with you, what have you, that you are prepared.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And with the scary part is that the wave of that Trumpism, that racist, mindset that only a certain population is elite and everybody else is beneath, they're above and we're beneath or whatever. You have to know what community, what nation you're going to be the safest in. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I know, like, when we were looking at it in one of our previous episodes, we were talking about how we were contemplating Africa.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there are a few countries we were looking at in Africa, and one of them was Rwanda. We pronounce it Rwanda, but they pronounce it Rwanda. And, the leadership, it could be teeter-tottering like dictatorish-y.
Right, and the thing is, like, people look at that political government and that leadership, and people love it, and they see the benefits of it. They see how far he's brought the country.
Right, and we say dictator, and we think of Putin.
Right.
But if you can, okay, you're a dictator, but you want me to be educated. I can sit down and be dictated to be educated. You know what I mean? Like, there's a dictator that wants me to have health care and make sure I have internet and make sure women are in positions of being able to be leaders and grow
making sure
companies.
The country is clean and
I mean, they have a clean
yeah.
the country, sweep your streets day or whatever.
Yeah.
You can dictate stuff like that, and I might be okay with you doing that.
But
you
the
know
fear
what I mean?
is, like, once you get that amount of power,
are you then going to twist it and turn it?
You're going to go crazy.
Right. And manipulate the people to hurt them, right?
Yeah.
So we use words like that, the socialism and capitalism and dictatorship and all these different terms, and they all can be used for good.
Yeah.
But then, of course, you could turn it around and use it for bad.
Yeah.
So anyway, I say all that to say we have to use wisdom, knowledge, and understanding on where to go, how to be, and how to comport yourself.
Yeah.
And the government that you may be sitting under, how is it going to affect you, right?
Right.
So bring it back home. Sorry.
And if you are a proponent of democracy, it seems like
it's breaking down.
There are places in the world where they're not in favor of democracy any longer.
Yeah.
At least those that are in power.
Right.
Because they want to be in power for as long as possible.
Right.
And democracy tends not to allow that.
Correct. Right. It's a thing, right?
Right. So if you're looking at leaving the U.S., for Mexico specifically, we're going to talk about our experience in that.
We're bringing it back home.
For the political situation, I would say don't make your decisions solely based on the politics. We left because of politics, but also because of the violence, because of the racial situations.
Cost of living.
So there should be a list of things
that are priorities,
that are making you think about, okay, should I be going someplace else? If politics is the one thing that's going to make you leave, you may be surprised when you get here that the current administration in Mexico is a lot more similar to Trump's administration than you might have thought. They are currently not about democracy. They are about trying to stay in power for as long as possible.
They're chipping away.
So, again, don't think the grass is always green on the other side in every situation. Cost of living is better here. Violence is better depending on where you are. The type of violence is different. But, violence is violence.
Yeah.
I mean, not,
Yeah, we don't want to
split hairs on that.
Yeah. But there is a distinction, though.
Yeah.
Violence is the American culture. It's the American way. Stolen land, stolen people, removed people, and no retribution.
Right.
And no atonement, no apologies, none of those things.
Yeah.
So it's different. You know what I mean? Violence isn't the culture here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's not where it sprung out of.
Yeah.
America is different.
Yeah.
When it comes to stuff like that. But it's Trumpy here. The politicians are turning Trumpy, but it's not just Mexico. Even across the pond, across the water, in Europe, there are governments that are going into that elitism, like you say, chipping away at that democracy thing, and that is disconcerting. You know what I mean? For people who just want to have a chance to be their best. But now you have governments and leaders who are like, they're going to play puppet. Puppet master. That is very creepy. Yeah,
and I don't think Trump is the nexus of all of it, but I think Trump was a great example of here's how you do it in a democratic situation. You get a group of people who have enough power and who have this nationalistic idea that this land belongs to us, so that no matter what we do, it's okay because it's all this land belongs to us. And I think people are using that ideal to kind of run with it and try and manipulate democracy into a place where they can hold on to their power for as long as possible.
But they also have people that to manipulate.
Right.
So then you have the people who, they've done studies. There's a certain level of education, that they max out at. There's a certain status quo, and then they've also tapped into that this, like you say, this is my land, you know what I mean? So it's like it's being taken from us,
right?
You know, like our jobs are being taken from us and given to the thems and the others.
Yeah.
And I read a post the other day, I think it was on Facebook, and somebody said, when was the last time you heard that they took my farming job? Like nobody.
Right.
Nobody has ever said that. Nobody's coming to take your job.
Mm-hmm.
There's plenty of jobs, you know what I mean? And there's plenty of work that we ain't gonna do as Americans.
Mm-hmm.
As regular Americans, we're still not gonna do it.
And it's like, if I was the CEO of a company and the Mexicans came across the border and they took my job as a CEO, and like, no, they didn't. No, they're coming here doing the jobs that nobody else wants to do.
Right.
For very low pay.
Right. And they're highly skilled.
Right.
And it's not like them taking that job means that they're less than.
Right.
They are highly skilled people.
It just means you don't have the credentials
Right.
or the resources in this country to do the job that you did back home.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting. Yeah, they ain't come and take your calls in the job. No, they didn't. Trina. They didn't do that.
Which is interesting because we've moved here with a particular skill set, and one of the resources that we don't have here is Spanish language as good enough to work in an office environment. So we could be doing jobs here locally that we could be taking from Mexicans, but we're not taking their jobs because we don't have good enough Spanish to go take their jobs. So the idea that people are just coming across the border without
like from
all of the
prerequisites,
to go and take these high-paying jobs, they're not stealing jobs from anyone that anybody else really wants.
Right. It's so interesting to think about that.
So we take this across the border. We're talking about leaving, Trump behind and Biden behind too. Let's not act like Biden is, perfect and the greatest candidate in the world. Obviously, he's way past his prime. And even in that, I don't know that people are super excited about Biden regardless. I think we all wish we had a third or a fourth choice, even if Biden was healthy. We'd like to see some more variety in what we have. But when you come across the border here, we currently have President Obrador, affectionately known as AMLO, who is doing things that are very similar to the way that Trump is trying to manipulate democracy in order to keep himself in power.
Undermining systems, throwing out dog whistles for the newspaper people, what are they called? Journalists. Journalists, thank you.
Yeah.
Journalists to get hurt, and some have been hurt or killed.
Yeah.
That is scary.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And then the new president-elect, supposedly, just part of our research. Y'all have to do your own research.
Yeah, we are not political specialists, pundits.
Right.
We don't know all the ins and outs of it. So
No.
do your own research, come to your own conclusions.
Yeah.
But I think this is our dog whistle to you to say, hey, look at the political situation in the U.S., but also look at the political situation of the place that you are going to.
Right.
It may not be better than what you are used to. It may just be different. It may be better or worse. But do that research and learn.
Because that's something we didn't think about.
We didn't think about that.
We didn't think about it not one time. But the new Sheinbaum, President-elect Sheinbaum, and on the outside looking in, as like I said, outsiders. It's like, oh, they got a female president, like
first female president of the country.
Of the country. So as a lady, I'm like, you better do it, sis. But then she's Trumpy too.
Yeah.
So supposedly she was sort of kind of encouraged, handpicked
by the current president,
who is Trumpy, and with those ideologies. So that's a nightmare, right? But something I just want to say something which you were mentioning. Do your research. I was traveling a few years ago, and I had a long layover, right, from Charlotte to South Africa, a long layover. And I chose my layover based on where it was the nicest place to go where I could be safe, right? So I had an option to go to France and do my layover in France, but they were having civil unrest. So just to visit, I wanted to make sure I was going to be safe. So that's part of what we're trying to say. Do your due diligence, because if you're thinking about moving somewhere, relocating, Is it okay?
Yes.
Okay. Relocating or going somewhere for a month or 6 months or a year, whatever, you have to do that to make sure that you're going to be safe, right?
Yeah.
And so I wanted to say that. I had to take a moment to say that too.
And we will take a quick break right here. And if you are really considering about redefining your life abroad, there's a summit happening August 10th through 11th virtually. We're going to show you a quick commercial on that. I want you guys to get engaged with that, understand it, see it, and think, you know, if you're really serious after watching that debate that you may want to go live your life abroad someplace outside the U.S., this could be a great resource for you. And we'll have an affiliate link down in the description if you want to order your ticket. We do get a small piece of that for full transparency, but we want to share that with you, and we'll be right back after this break. Public service announcement.
I'm Jackie.
And I'm Chris from the 7997 podcast, live from San Miguel de Allende, Mexico, and we are excited to partner with the Redefining Life Abroad Virtual Summit.
In just a few short weeks, August 10th and 11th, we are going to learn about handling our finances while living abroad.
And really the reason why you want to be there is because you're going to gain insights into working remotely
and even starting your own business.
We have expert speakers on all these different topics about finances and family that can help you better live your life abroad.
There are families, there are married couples, folks with children. Just come and learn what they've experienced, the good, the bad, the ugly.
Even for ourselves, we had to make all kinds of adjustments with new financial obligations, working remotely,
while having family and friends and important matters back home. So don't miss out.
So make sure you go to the website on the screen to check out all the information about the Redefining Life Abroad Virtual Summit.
August 10th and the 11th. Be there or be square. You see the website on your screen. Go there and go ahead and sign up. You will not be sorry.
And we are back, guys. Thanks for joining us, sticking with us through us here. We know it's a tough conversation. There's going to be all kinds of madness in the comments, I'm sure. Y'all have at it. We always love what you guys say, good or bad. But to think about what actually is happening across the border here in Mexico that we are really coming to the realization of is that the current president, AMLO, is manipulating things in his favor. If I have the story correctly, he ran once and lost, thought he was basically shafted at the polls. So the same way Trump kind of tells that story of, you know, oh, I actually won the election, but he didn't win the election. So once he did actually win and get into office, he actually tried to defund the electoral board here in Mexico, INE. And that was sort of his way to hopefully, I guess, control the outcome of elections in the future. To say that, you know, they don't have enough money to even run a fair and clear election, and he could have some control over that in the future. So just setting himself up for a situation where he could possibly control things.
Puppet master.
On top of that, he also is giving the military sort of, and I may not have all this correct in the way that I'm kind of perceiving it, but the way I perceive it is he's giving the military jobs that the military generally doesn't do. So the military is
like
building,
hooking up with contracts, basically.
Right.
Okay.
And then that's the way we think about it in the U.S. The military is about defending the country, and that's what they're for. It may be a different, situation here in Mexico, but to me it seems odd that the military is building the Maya train, or the military is building airports. That seems to be something that would generally be private contractors, private business. And to me, it feels like he may be setting up for, if I want to stay in power, I might want to have this military at my right arm and then be in my favor so that they can actually protect me if people come for me. If a January 6th happens, to come and overturn the government, I have my military here to protect me. So all these things, once you start looking at sort of the full picture and then being able to kind of handpick his successor, because in Mexico you get one term and it's 6 years rather than getting back-to-back terms in the U.S. for 4 and 4. So for, if you think about it here, it's very rare that you get, an 8-year term for a president and then the Democrats come right behind it. Like, it's not 8-year Democrat. Normally it flips. It's back and forth. But if you kind of have the same people in power, and I think they have a majority in their legislature as well, and then you even look at locally, there's a lot of mayors being killed, and I don't know how all these pieces connect, Some of you out there might have a better picture of that. But it just feels like we're in an environment, in a political situation where someone is trying to tip the favor in their own hand in as many ways as possible. And that feels very similar to what Donald Trump is attempting to do.
Correct. And when he says locally, he's not necessarily saying San Miguel.
Right. This is across the entire country of Mexico.
The down to Main Street.
Yeah.
Or Calle de Main.
Yeah. That's probably not the right way to say it.
I'm just saying that's. But I also want to say too, just thinking about things as an immigrant, right, or expat. In the States, immigrants, we were talking about this recently, immigrants have a certain bubble of protection. Because I know that there are immigrant communities back in the States that actually have it easier than Native Americans. And I don't mean Native as in indigenous people. I mean Native as in I was born there. I was raised there. And so whether it's the Asian community or the Middle Eastern community, there's some African communities, they are able to get programs to invest in their communities, to start up businesses, right? And I'm not privy to that.
It's also like when you come in as a legal immigrant, there are certain standards that you have to meet in order to get into the country. So even coming into Mexico as immigrants, you can't really come into the country if you're broke. Like, not legally, right? Like, you may go and overstay your visa and, run around from the law, hope you don't get caught. But those that come in legally, and I think it's the same in the U.S., come in with some money. You're not coming in with nothing in your pocket. So when you talk about a community of people, whether it be, Americans coming into Mexico or Turkish coming into America, or
even
Koreans,
Americans
Chinese,
go to Canada, they go. Oh, that's true. I mean, I understand there are certain requirements.
In order to meet that requirement, you have to come in with some amount of money. So when you come into a community and you have your own bubble and you actually have a little bit of money to deal with, and you actually don't pay attention or sometimes even care about the political situation, because as an immigrant status, a lot of that doesn't affect you in the same way. So like, I think that's kind of where we were when we first came in, thinking about, we're Americans, we're paying attention to stuff back home. We're not paying attention to the government that's actually happening here, unfortunately. And I think that is something that we should probably change our mindset on. Because even if
that's a part of life,
you may not get hit with all the same things that the normal, Mexican would, because they are, citizens.
We're in a bubble.
We're in a bubble. But there are things that are going to affect you. And if that means, the military comes to power and they're taking over territories and things are now military control rather than politically controlled.
We need to understand that.
We need to understand that, because that's going to have some effect on us. So all these things at some point are going to touch your life, so you need to be really aware of them and understand that even though you are an immigrant status in this country, or you may be immigrant status in another country, and you have a protective bubble around you to some extent, that bubble can be easily popped. If they feel like they want to pop that bubble.
Absolutely. So we need to be aware.
Be very aware.
Be aware. Eyes open, y'all.
That's it.
Head on the swivel.
And
go vote.
Absolutely.
Okay? It's not a decision. What they say? Lesser of two evils? No, it's not. 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 And don't you cut that. I said that about 6 times. Go vote. Vote for the national elections, and I please y'all, beg yous, go vote for the community things too. The sheriff races, the judge races, the ones that literally hit your zip code. Go vote. That is the wisest thing you can do. Please
and I will say,
vote.
in contrast to that, if you're asking the question, who should you vote for? I don't know. I can't help you in that. And I think that's where a lot of people are stuck right now, because you don't like either option. And
but doing nothing, y'all, is not an option. Let's don't. What my boy say, Bakari Sellers? He said the couch has so many votes. It don't put up no ads. It doesn't have a picket sign. It don't have the couch. Boy, that couch got so many votes. Don't let the couch win. It's just too important. You know what I mean? People say vote your conscience and things of that nature. I don't know about all that. Go vote. For me, it is, I look at the character of a person. You know what I mean? What do you do when you go and hire a babysitter for your kids? What do you go do when you go try and find a job? You want to work in a place with management in a company that's going to take care of you. You know, you want to make sure you're leaving your children at a school or a daycare center that's safe where they're not going to be harmed. I look at my politicians the same way because I can't vote because somebody's not a Christian or because somebody's a Muslim or because they're black or because they're white or anything like that. What are you going to do for me as a person, for my community? Are you going to build it up or are you going to tear it down? And that's what I look at. And for me, one is a tearer downer, one is more of a builder upper. I'm going with the builder upper.
So I'm going to play devil's advocate here and ask you a question within your metaphor.
Oh.
If you're looking for somebody to watch your kids, and you have a choice between somebody who's going to go sell your child for whatever amount of money they can get, and somebody who's going to lose your child because they don't have their faculties.
Stop it.
Where is your choice?
Help me, Lord.
And I think that's the choice a lot of people are dealing with right now.
That is so bad.
Is you know one will tear things down, and you know the other one might tear things down because he forgot where they was. That's all I'm saying. It's a tough choice right now. And to me, it's no choice. But you got to do the best you can with what you got.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Again, I'm asking for a third or fourth choice. Democratic Party, put somebody else up.
Yeah.
Why can't we run against the incumbent?
I know, right?
I don't understand that.
Yeah, I know. We're so polite in America.
I don't know about all that. Before we go too far down this political conversation and have them comments on fire, as I know they will be.
Yeah.
We want to thank y'all, as always, for listening to our little ramblings about whatever it is going on in our lives and our, treks back and forth across the border between U.S. and Mexico. In theory and thought, maybe not in person and physical body. So for all these things, like, comment, and subscribe.
Please and thank you.
Buy some coffee. Check out that virtual summit if you have not.
Yeah. August 10th and 11th, y'all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Watch another video.
Go register to vote. Take somebody to go vote. Make sure the young people, I think you can be 17 and a half or something like that. Make sure our kids are voting. Go to those college campuses, and I'll be praying for our country, our host country, our world, because it's on fire. Y'all be safe. And we love you.
And if you go and watch the video that's linked at the end of this one, that is a vote for Chris and Jackie.
Yeah.
That is you showing your support for us, and we appreciate every little bit of it. And with that, we will say... She's been learning to pronounce cuidate correctly. If you watch it for a while, at the end of every video, she says cuidate, which is an incorrect translation or pronunciation. It is cuidate.
Cuidate, but it's also quidence.
Quidence, which is
quidence for the multitude.
All of you take care.
All y'all take care. Quidence.
Arias Garce, take care and take a chance. We'll see you guys next week.
Go vote!
This is the 7997 Podcast, your home for raw and honest conversation, featuring Chris and Jackie, with new episodes every Sunday, wherever you get your podcasts.